Welcome to the Jewish Exponent podcast. I am your host, Jared Safran. I am here with Tova Rosenberg, who is the president of the Names Not Numbers Holocaust Oral History documentary program that sets up interviews between students and Holocaust survivors. Tova and I met over the phone when I was doing a story on her program at Kelman Brown Academy in the Philadelphia area here in Voorhees, New Jersey. And then Jack M. Barrack Hebrew Academy on the PA side was also involved in that. Tova is a longtime Holocaust educator at a bunch of different schools. Tova, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So yeah, you have taught at Washington University, Hebrew University, Yeshiva University High Schools, a variety of different schools in this area, correct?
Correct. Either taught or coordinated projects in those institutions.
Yeah, makes sense. So I think your Names Not Numbers program is really cool because it connects the youngest living Jewish generation, and in many cases non-Jewish generation, with the oldest Holocaust survivors left. I mean, they're all pretty much in their 80s or above at this point. But with the last Holocaust survivors left, I should say. And that is an important connection because it's how the history lives on. These younger students, they really learn it from those conversations. So let's start with that, even though I do want to talk to you about Holocaust remembrance in general. But why did you create Names Not Numbers?
I created Names Not Numbers because somebody who is a history major and understands the value and the importance of having to be able to record history from the people who lived through it, not just a textbook, film, lecture, museum. It is such a valuable one. It's a teaching tool for number one, but most important, this is the way that we are able to really be able to document what has happened in any type of experience that a person has gone through, and the great value of having oral histories where the people who lived through history are telling about their lives.
How did the program spread around? It's now, or you've had more than 6,000 students participate in it, talk to 6,000 survivors in the US, Canada, and Israel, according to the Names Not Numbers website. It's currently in over 80 schools in those three countries, according to your LinkedIn. So how did it spread around?
The project started from one very small project of a Jewish day school in central Pennsylvania that I was the head of school, and I received a letter from the state that I could apply for an intergenerational grant. It had nothing to do with Holocaust, and we had Holocaust studies in the curriculum. I also had on my faculty a computer teacher. One day I asked him, "What do you do in your real life?" And he said he makes film documentaries, that was his profession. I was also bringing one of my former students from Israel. I had been a college lecturer in a college of education, training teachers to go abroad to teach in the Jewish educational systems. And that's it. I applied for the grant. I received the full funding from the state, and that's where we started Names Not Numbers. We had this was my vision was that nobody understands what 6 million is. You can only understand the story of one, and this is the goal of the project, that they were going to be learning about the World War II, the Holocaust, obviously the emphasis on the Holocaust, but they were going to be learning about it through the story of one. The students work in groups. It's the same way it started 20 years ago. It's the same framework that it is today as well. The students work in groups. They receive their quote unquote survivor. And we have a whole curriculum on how they're preparing for their interview. And then comes exactly what you saw. The end was that interview at Kelman Brown. And afterwards, the students, it's approximately a 2-hour interview. The students are editing it and making it into a 20-minute oral history documentary. So First of all, the project is kids to kids. The kids are doing everything. Of course, professionals are mentoring them
Mhm.
and assisting them. But at the end result is they have done everything. And obviously, one big piece, and this is where memory comes in and the importance of memory for documentation, and that is they are editing this film, almost 2 hour film, down to 20 minutes, watching it over and over to pick out the very best sound bites. They're going to portray their survivor story with before the war, during, and after. So this is a complete oral history of their survivor.
I like the way you put that. I thought it was really eloquent. No one remembers 6 million, everyone remembers one. What would you say is the power of a student to survivor conversation?
Extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And even give you, a little bit of statistics. um, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago, there was a survey made in Israel of approximately 1,000 high school students. What left the biggest impact on them in Holocaust education? So, of course, museum visit, having a course, going to Poland, all the different aspects of how we can teach, watching films, how we can teach about the Holocaust. Approximately 40% responded that it was having to the opportunity to sit one-on-one with a Holocaust survivor and talk to them.
Mhm.
So this is already an academic study of it and the importance of one. And
Mhm.
then we watch this in every interview that we have. The students have done an enormous amount of preparation for their interview. They walk into a room that is all set up like a mini movie studio with all the lights and the cameras, and everything that is used in the project is broadcast quality professional equipment. The students are also taught how to use this. They're mentored by journalists on how to write the questions, how to prepare. So they have enormous amount of preparation. They are now walking in to talk to their survivor.
Mhm.
And I'm always, watching the students' eyes to see, how are they reacting to this, and also the survivor's eyes. And what happens at the very end, and that's probably really going back to the intergenerational project, is to see the amount of, I can say, affection and love and joy that these survivors are showing to the kids and the students to their survivors,
Mhm.
giving them the gift, the group picture, just the what should we say, the informal schmoozing afterwards. They have really become like the grandchildren of these survivors, and they're so excited with the fact that they are able now to tell the story. And of
Mhm.
course, the survivors are in awe of what the students are capable of doing.
Yeah. Is this program also about preserving the documentary evidence for posterity?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what is happening at the end of the project is, number one, I mentioned that it's edited down by the students to 20 minutes to
Yep.
have the story. Another a documentary comes out, and this is another unique thing in education, and that is Names Not Numbers, a movie in the making at whatever school. Every school has their own documentary. Now, this is the story. We have the filmmaker who has been mentoring them and teaching them, is also filming them through all of the sessions of preparation. And we are also interviewing the students about their reflections, getting their testimonials. What did you learn from it? What are you going to do with the project? What's your message after doing the project? And this is a very important piece in education, that we as students to, think about what you did and now what.
Mhm.
So this film includes in it approximately 10 minutes from the students' 20 minutes, so a mini version of everybody's story. It is shown at a public event that the schools, each school, each educational institution organizes. The attendees go anywhere from 250 up to 1,000 people. So obviously, it's not just the school. And here we and now what comes from this is that the I would just say it's put on DVDs because that's a little bit more, old fashioned, but they are archived. And this is what major educational institutions, museums, libraries take the final version, which is the film that is screened at the event, plus the students' 20-minute edited interviews, and those are archived.
Mhm.
So archiving is, I can say usually, putting it in the box and put away for the next, not 10 years, 100 years, 200 years, but this is the preservation of these documentaries
Where are the archives? How can people access them?
pardon.
Where are the
Um,
archives? How can
yeah,
people access them?
they've been archived at the National Library of Israel in Jerusalem. They've been archived at Yeshiva University's Gottesman Library. There have been also things that have been archived at Yad Vashem.
Hmm.
So in different years, things have been archived in different places. And we are in the process also of making a website that will be having all of these, the links on it. So it'll be a little more modern, not
Hmm.
a DVD, and for general use.
Hmm.
Now, also, there have been many schools that have asked for the links, of both movies, the movie in the making, which is important because it's, what did the kids learn? They're telling us what they learned and how they see themselves
Hmm.
in the future with being the ones, well, I'll have to say the witnesses to the witnesses. They'll be telling the stories.
Yeah.
So there have been schools that have asked that we give them, for instance, a film that has a survivor who had been Germany, Kristallnacht. So we are sending also in the different schools that are doing the project are using it for their Holocaust education in the school.
Yeah. Why do you think it's important to take full advantage of this last surviving Holocaust generation?
I think we have learned, this year or this past few months, how important it is that the students know what happens when, and I'll have to quote Abe Foxman, who is, had been head of the ATL, that war does not begin with guns, war begins with words. And here we are seeing exactly what and that's a question that we're asking now in the interviews. On October 7th, at the end of the present interviews, on October 7th, what went through your mind when you were essentially reliving what you went through in the Holocaust? And it is so important for the history of the world to see what happens with intolerance, racism, anti-Semitism, and where it can go, and how we can ruin the world by it.
Yeah. What do you think? So this is a topic that I've been exploring here at the Exponent for the past year or so. And that's, what do we have to do to remember them and their history once they're gone? I think your program is trying to help with that with the documentary evidence. And then I've seen others, a couple institutions in the Philly area here, Gratz College and Theater Ariel, have put on plays about the Holocaust at local schools. The Holocaust Awareness Museum in Elkins Park, PA, here in the Philly area, has put some of the art about that period in local schools as well. So there are all these different efforts going on, I think, with really the near future in sight here. And that's when there are none of these survivors left. So what do you think we have to do to remember them and their history once they're gone?
So first of all, I'm going to say that every institution, and it doesn't matter how they are doing it and how they're reaching the young people, whether it be through, as you said, art, going to museums and having docents take them around, showing them artifacts, writing up an essay, speaking to a survivor and writing up an essay or plays. Everything is a very valuable way of helping to preserve our history, the history, and what can happen when when everything goes awry. So
Yeah.
absolutely, it's what should I say? My hat goes off to every institution. I would love to see in my book, my project is also a project, collaborative project. Everybody's working, all the kids are working together, doing everything. And I would love to see that it would be all these projects together would be out there, that everybody can be the benefit of them.
Mhm.
I'd like to say, one thing about mine, again, every project is unique. The fact that mine is kids to kids, kids are doing everything.
Yeah.
But I'm always it's a part of your question, always interested exactly what you said. Okay, so what's 10 years from now? How
Mhm.
much is this leave with them? And I'll have to just tell one tiny little anecdote.
Yeah.
um, Probably I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I went to pay a condolence call at the home of a survivor. He was sitting shiva for his sister, and when I got up to leave, a girl on the couch across from me came over to me and told me that she had done the project as a 12th grader in the school where she went 12 years before. That school had been doing the project. Today there's already year number 19 that they're doing the project, 12 years before. And do I remember her? So, we've had a lot of students.
Yeah.
And I said to her, it was really almost, I thought it was a joke. Do you remember who you interviewed?
Yeah.
12 years later,
Right.
that girl stood for 20 minutes and told me her survivor story.
Wow. Yeah.
And that is the power of doing a project like this. And you
Mhm.
see how active they are in their editing. They are watching this 2 hour movie over and over to edit it down to 20 minutes and make it into an oral history.
Mhm.
That's also, but you don't hear the questions in it. You just hear the survivor talking. But
Mhm.
for whatever the survivor said, there was a question.
Right.
So there are all of these, very important educational skills that they're going to use all their lives.
Mhm.
But it's just a lot more, which I say, 21st century to come
Yeah.
out with a film, and especially, and every group understands how much power they have in their hands and how important it is to do the very best because they have to preserve history.
Yeah, it will be students like these who are tasked with preserving the memory here and passing it on, right?
Right. And then also to see, I mentioned educational skills. I'm always in awe when I receive emails, just like this one wasn't an email from 18 years ago, when somebody is telling me that they decided to go into journalism because of the project.
Yeah.
They just went into filmmaking, and they also went ahead and made other Holocaust film documentaries. They
Hmm.
decided to be docents in Holocaust museums, to go into education.
Hmm.
So to see where this project has taken them vocation wise is also, really amazing to me.
Yeah. What kind of projects might you like to see before the survivors are gone and then even after they're gone that could preserve the memory and the stories?
Uh, in addition to the oral histories, that we do at the schools, we also have a school that, again, not using names, a school that has been doing a Poland trip that we sponsor it,
Mhm.
and it is not a March of the Living trip. It is a leadership training. I can almost say, the word in Hebrew, a chesed mission, that these students are doing much more with what they learned, obviously, from their project that they did. And
Mhm.
now they are going on this specially arranged trip, meeting with the people who are in the forefront of fighting anti-Semitism in Poland. They are not Jewish.
Mhm.
And all of this, which I say, it's the additional piece to this and how much impact it has had on them because they have done this project, that they really understand their importance, that it's not just the Holocaust remembrance. They have to go out there and really be upstanders
Mhm.
and fight for things, and especially today in the world.
Yeah, I think that is one of the cool parts of the program too. It's not just Jewish students. the story that I wrote on the program happening at Kelman this past semester, it involves students from a school in Camden, New Jersey, which is not Jewish. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
it spreads it beyond that too.
This year, we're doing approximately 20 schools
Yeah.
that are not Jewish. Many of them are standalone projects, the public school doing it all by themselves.
Mm.
They're also throughout the United States, Florida, New York, New Jersey. And then there are the few, just like Hellman Brown, that they're collaborative,
Mm.
which is also, and I'm thinking of the testimonials of another school in New York that has been doing it at least for 8 years as a collaboration with a public school.
Mm.
And the students talk about the fact that here not only are they learning from the survivor, but they're also learning because they're working together with students that aren't coming from their Jewish day school, and they're learning about diversity, and they're learning about how important it is that essentially what I'll go back to, a war starts with words and not with guns, and
Yeah.
how they have to really fight against racism. They fight for tolerance, fight against anti-Semitism, and everybody is benefiting from it.
Tova Rosenberg, thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.